Kia ora. My name is Caleb Nielsen, and I shall be presenting on the Week 10 topic of Japanese anime and otaku cultures. My familiarity with anime and otaku cultures is slightly hazy, predating this assignment with only seeing a few pieces. Namely, I have seen and loved Spirited Away by Studio Ghibli, the Pokemon series, and Berserk. And I remember vaguely YouTuber Filthy Frank back in the day, also now known as Joji amongst global music circles, discussing otaku and weeaboo cultures in a comedic light many years ago. Anime refers to the abbreviation of Japanese animation, and is quoted as a phenomenon of popular culture in Susan J. Napier's piece on anime. Napier also discusses how anime is a crucial factor of the culture within Japan, and places itself as a subculture within Western communities. From this, the argument on anime is that can or should anime be considered as an art, or should it be analysed as a sociological phenomenon? A key to understanding some of current concerns abounding in present-day Japanese society. What does everybody watching believe the answer to this question may be? Or do you believe it to be not so cut and dry? Firstly, I would like to answer by stating, as is noted after the coded question, that how popular something is undetermining of its status as art. If we wish to reference comparisons to Western notions of art, we can see reference to almost everything as self-expressions of art. Yet the lack of popularity compared to Hollywood animation would be considered a determining factor of this for audiences in the West. For example, oftentimes society conforms to finding the most popular things as the best examples of good or interest. Because anime is an anomaly to parts of Western audiences, they often have misconceived notions that anime is meant for child enjoyment, thanks to a lack of adult animation films. Only one coming to mind for me being Sausage Party, which is crass and could hardly be considered a form of art. So anime is challenging these ideologies already. Although the initial reaction I had internally to that question was mixed, and I shall discuss why. Anime is inherently beautiful as a media form and culture. The way in which animation can be utilized to create such stunning imagery and control the emotions of audiences is remarkable. Anime incorporates the culture of Japan, whilst creating a wholly unique experience fully animated, and even transmitting social constructs, as is seen with the success of certain films and series in the West. Being incredibly vast, as Napier also notes how it's important to acknowledge the immense range of anime, its fascinating variety of genres, its mixture of traditional and modern elements, and its disparate assemblage of subjectivities. Anime has created vast communities and global identities for Japan, whether that is a good thing or a bad thing. Being this successful in the West is no small feat to scoff at either. In an oversaturated Hollywood market, anime established an important basis that other media forms like Bollywood have struggled with in the West. Take for example Spirited Away. It is the second highest grossing anime film, only behind Demon Slayer, the movie. Of course, I love that film as I stated earlier, yet when I showed it to many of my friends, they deemed the film to be too weird after we had finished it. This is a point for Japanese culture that is often stuck with them, and it's an air of oddness or that it is not normal, which is an extremely closed-minded Western ideology that continues to devalue other cultures due to the different ideals of normality. This mindset fails to be inclusive of foreign cultures, and in this case, can be seen in even the question that anime may not be considered an art, simply due to the lack of popularity or familiarity. Even myself, I used to live in a blissful ignorance that I don't need to watch anime, prioritizing viewing other films or television series that are far more familiar to my social circles, with the knowledge that many anime piques my interests, even having a view that I look down upon some of them, as if I were above viewing anime. Now, that caused me to wonder, and something I want to pose to those of you watching. Was this a similar idea in adolescence in New Zealand in the mid to late 2010s? Did you ever experience this ideology about anime? I began to look into why this may be, and I realize it is my perception of the culture surrounding it. Otaku cultures refer to to a subculture of predominantly foreign countries to Japan, being enamored with the media cultures of Japan. Often associated with ideas of obsession, becoming the image of nerdy culture of interest in Japanese culture. Similar to another term used amongst internet circles of weeaboos, yet otakus distinctly has a genuine interest in Japanese culture and refers to Japanese individuals also, unlike weeaboos, who will only feature Japanese people who then proceed to wish that they were Japanese and live in the Japanese land, creating a fantasized view on the nation.
A hard time I've been going through is deciding whether or not I'm Japanese. And don't, like, people are gonna judge me for this. I'm aware of that. But, like, I feel it in my veins. I know who I am, and I think I'm Japanese. Because, like, recently I've been, like, reading lots of manga and anime, and, like, you know, like, I also really like their food, like sushi and, like, all that kind of stuff. So I'm kind of thinking that I am Japanese. Like, in my heart, I think I'm Japanese.
When many individuals are not within a community or a culture, a one way mirror look can create an appearance of what those communities or cultures are to those who are not included or involved. Rainer Dennison discusses the fandom and otaku cultures of anime in the reading Transcultural Creativity in Anime, Hybrid Identities in the Production, Distribution, Text, and Fandom of Japanese Anime. Dennison finds these cultures interesting due to the creativity available in explaining these cultures. Dennison targets one part of this modern creativity in otakus of their digisubbing, explaining the phenomenon of digisubbing, the production of fans subtitled anime via digital reproduction technologies. It is also changing the relationship between fans and anime text considerably. While on the one hand enabling greater fan creativity in the reproduction of anime texts, it is also enabling a vast increase in the illegitimate flow of anime outside Japan. The idea of digisubbing is interesting in pairing with understandings of other areas of otaku culture, where we experience the creativity of Japanese anime. It becomes to feel as though the representation of Japan in anime is almost being colonized in a funny way by the Western world who is enjoying it. Later in the same article, it is explained again. The result is that the transcultural audiences for anime do not consume these texts in any sort of standardized way. Moreover, the creative practices of Japanese producers in working with companies from outside Japan, and, it seems, increasingly featuring characters and settings that work to create transcultural anime, means that these texts are becoming even more familiar to even the global locations most remote from Japan. To piece this all together, we must understand hybridity. Hybridity in this context is the mixing of different cultures engaging with one another, creating a blend, in this case, of Western and Japanese ideas within anime and subsequent cultures. This is discussed in a separate reading, Manga and Anime, Fluidity and Hybridity in Global Imagery, where it is argued about hybridity in anime that they are familiar because the plot or experiences and emotions of the characters may reflect the experiences and emotions of any reader or viewer, regardless of ethnicity or nationality, or they may also incorporate elements of no distinct culture, such as an unnamed or unrecognizable setting. They may even seem familiar because they feature characters that appear to be non-Japanese to viewers who are Caucasian. Within this quote, we can understand how characters within Japanese anime are being whitewashed, and Western viewers are embracing an incorrect culture, blending culture that misrepresents both parties. I believe this is where I began to distance myself from entering an active enjoyment of anime, as I have a deep appreciation for such interesting media forms globally. I love how raw, genuine, and authentic Japanese music is personally, Yet in terms of anime, I was not interested, and I believe the Western world created the image of anime through creativity that felt disingenuous. It almost felt fabricated, as though the point of consumption had felt lost. The creation of digital cultures through which we have seen appreciation for Japanese culture through the art of anime is wondrous. But, of course, questions of if anime is art would become apparent had we not had the ability to experience the art true to the artist or the art form, westernizing something that never needed to be westernized, and appropriating a culture through anime.